That's it, everyone. Friends, family, strangers, we all should have seen this coming. Frank and Julie are meant to be. That's all. We should have seen it. All the signs were there. Why didn't we see this sooner? Honestly, I don't even remember what the whole theories were. It was probably a whole bunch of garbage. Oh, wait. You don't know what I'm talking about? Well, buddy, you gotta pull up a chair. Wait a second. You should have seen this new post by the creator himself.
Let me take a step back for those who don't see the deeper meaning behind this piece. This freaky over here is Frank Frankly, and this gal over there is Julie Joyful. These two are best friends and nothing more. And you don't have to take my word on it either. It's written into their character sheets. See? But ever since the newest update, their relationship has shifted from friends to potential lovers. Let's go to the Welcome Home website real quick. In Julie's character description, the WHRP writes that the newly uncovered books, these, suggest that the pair might be a little more than friends. To be frank with you, I wasn't seeing what everyone else was seeing until I heard other people talking about it. Which, fair. But like in every good story, you need a little bit of context and good enough understanding of the characters. Here's the context for this pick. The book, Sweetbriar, is a reenactment of the Disney film Sleeping Beauty. Julie plays Aurora, or Sweetbriar, and Frank plays Prince Philip. Instead of giving the Disney kiss, Frank gave Julie a peck on the cheek. Either way, if you had two other characters doing this, the writers clearly want the audience to see them romantically. What actually convinced me that they had something going on was in the hidden congratulation videos, specifically this whole scene.
Come on, Frank, it'll be fun. You love playing games with your favorite Joyful in the whole wide neighborhood.
You're my only Joyful in the whole wide neighborhood. All right, fine. But we're playing with the Frankly rule card. No throwing bowling balls or backwards jumping rope, and certainly no surprise chess maneuvers. I know you're not allowed to combine the queen with the knight during chess, Julie. You can't trick me again.
The pieces are just keeping each other company, Frank. It sounds like somebody's just sore about losing the queen's favorite horsey.
Technically, none of these examples are proving that they have a romantic interest in each other, but the narrative is clearly pushing for it. But despite all that, everyone is upset at the idea of these two being together. They claim the romance is being forced and that it's homophobic. Now, I don't toss that word around willy-nilly, so we'll take this accusation seriously. What is homophobic about shipping these two specifically when other pairs get shipped for less, whether it's gay or straight? From what I hear, pairing Julie and Frank together goes against who they are, that being a gender-fluid bisexual baddie and a non-binary gay fellow who is happily married to the mailman. These identities the characters have are based on this drawing Clown made a few years ago. It's important to mention that this isn't canon. Frank goes by he, him, and Julie goes by she, her in the website, and that's how everyone else refers to them as. Another thing that's not canon is Eddie, the mailman I mentioned earlier, being married to Frank. And yet this concept art still stirs up heated arguments between fans. Does this mean I don't believe it could be true? No, it could be canon. After all, it's still a concept. Wally eating with his eyes was a concept, the show having religious undertones was a concept, and those things were implemented to the website. So let's just say the characters are as fruity as they are here. But why wouldn't this series show that? Welcome Home ran on air between the years 1969 and 1972, and a little something called the Hays Code ended in 1968, just a year before the show came out. The Hays Code was a set of guidelines used to censor American movies and shows before it was replaced by the MPA rating system, which is what we have today. The Hays Code prohibited any sex perversion, which included homosexuality and a bunch of other unrelated things like no mixed couples or bad-mouthing religion and a whole bunch of other things. The reason the Hays Code was set in place was because Hollywood was seen as out of control by the viewers, by religious groups, and most importantly, the government. The big man upstairs threatened a national government-run censorship office, and to avoid this, Hollywood chose to self-regulate. But when the people got more comfortable with TV and started to fight for change, they moved to watching more grittier content that showed more realistic depictions of the world. And this, film studios noticed. So they made riskier and riskier films with more open-minded ideas until they finally replaced the code with something more flexible, MPA. The studios got more movies that will actually make them money and minorities got some recognition. However, the LGBT had to take a step back. The audience was just more comfortable with watching a movie fight for feminism and Black lives than they were watching a gay couple be happy. That only started changing this decade. Now it's normal for people of the opposite gender to be friends and not fall in love at the end, like Frank and Julie. But for the time, that's just how the story goes. But wherever there's a rule, there's a way around it, which is what Welcome Home has been doing. How? Queer coding. Queer coding is giving characters stereotypically gay traits, but not explicitly saying they're a part of the LGBTQ. Think Kitty and Bunny from Courage the Cowardly Dog, or him from Powerpuff Girls. Let's take a look at Frank for a moment. He's weak, has a high-pitched voice, loves spending time in his little garden, and would rather be safe and cozy inside his home reading a good book instead of roughhousing with Barnaby. Not exactly the picture of masculinity. Eddie, although he's strong and crazy country, is a mama's boy, keeps up with the latest hit plays, and pretty emotional. To be specific, he's cowardly. Now, this on its own isn't queer, but remember I told you they had chemistry. What would happen if the people saw two men getting a little too comfortable with each other? They would hear wedding bells and the flames of hell crackling under their feet, and God forbid the children see it. Lord have mercy. So the writers would have to do something to excuse the two, like pushing Frank away from Eddie and getting him together with Julie, which is exactly what happened in the latest update. Anyone with eyes could see that in the springtime update, Eddie has been noticeably absent, but worst of all, his only interaction with Frank was during a Darling broadcast. There could be a wonderful love story in the making between these two, but for now, Frank is betrothed to another. I suppose a closed-minded, obsessive bugkill would be upset if you shipped Julie and Frank together anyway. Hear me out. I think you are free to draw whatever you want, whether it's canon or not. Why would you call anyone homophobic for shipping Frank and Julie together? They fit so nicely. The fandom has been open to all kinds of interpretations of Welcome Home, like AUs and ship art of literally every single character, and yet you cross the line at these two. If you want to stick to the original material, go right on ahead. But I and everyone else will hang back and enjoy making fan art and headcanons waiting for the next update. Goodbye.